across the sands of time, every civilization has forged its own kind of warrior. Some fought for honor, some for gods, and some for nothing but survival. But among them stood the few, the masters of war, the ones who turned battle into art. This is their story. The Rajputs, India's lion-hearted nobility. They lived and died by honor. To the Rajput, a blade was more than a weapon. It was a promise. They fought for their kings, their gods, and their names, even when defeat was certain. And when the end came, they didn't surrender. They rode out one last time to meet death like it was a friend. They didn't just fight for kingdoms, they fought for legacy. 14. The Celtic warriors. Wild courage in flesh and blood. Before Rome, there were tribes. Fierce, tattooed, untamed. They went into battle without armor, sometimes without even clothes, their bodies marked in blue, their voices raised to the gods. To the Celts, war wasn't chaos. It was a ritual, a test of courage in its purest, rawest form. And though empires would erase their lands, their spirit remains unbroken, wild as the wind that once carried their war cries. 13. The Mongol horsemen, the storm from the steppe. They rode like the wind and struck like thunder. Each warrior could loose 6 arrows before his horse touched the ground. They didn't just conquer, they erased borders. From the Pacific to the gates of Europe, the Mongols turned chaos into empire. When the storm passed, entire worlds were changed. 12. The Zulu warriors, the Impi of Shaka, forged in discipline, sharpened by will. Under King Shaka, the Zulu became Africa's answer to Sparta. Armed with short stabbing spears, the Ikulwa, and shields of cowhide, they moved like a single creature, swift, silent, deadly. When they charged, even the ground trembled. And when they fell, their enemies remembered the sound of that thunder forever. 11. The samurai, Japan's blades of honor. They lived by Bushido, the way of the warrior. To the samurai, every strike of the katana was a reflection of the soul. Perfection wasn't the goal, it was the duty. They ruled not just with swords, but with spirit. To fail was shame. To die with dignity was art. Their war ended centuries ago, but their code still whispers through time, in silence, in precision, in honor. 10. The Spartan hoplites, soldiers from birth. At age 7, they were taken from home. At 20, they were warriors. At 30, legends. They fought shoulder to shoulder, shield to shield, a human wall of iron and resolve. For Spartans, fear was not an enemy. It was a teacher. Their greatest victory wasn't survival, it was defiance. 9. The Vikings, wolves of the north. They came with axes and fury, raiders, explorers, conquerors. They believed to die in battle was to earn a seat in Valhalla, a warrior's paradise beyond the storm. Their raids reshaped Europe, their spirit conquered the seas. They came from the cold and carved their names into fire. 8. The Shaolin monks, fists of faith. They trained until pain became meaningless, until the body obeyed thought, and thought obeyed spirit. Through discipline and meditation, they turned flesh into steel. Their strength wasn't born from rage, but from peace. They fought not for war, but for balance. And in their silence, they became legend. 7. The Persian immortals, soldiers who never died. 10,000 strong, 10,000 eternal. Every time one fell, another rose to take his place, keeping their number whole. They were more than soldiers. They were a symbol of order, precision, and unbroken power. To face the immortals was to face inevitability itself. 6. The Knights, Europe's armored code, encased in steel, bound by oath. They were the weapons of kings, guided by the code of chivalry. To the knight, battle was divine duty. Sword, shield, and faith. 3 things that made them immortal in legend. Beneath their armor beat hearts that sought more than victory. They sought virtue. 5. The Aztec jaguar warriors, predators of the sun. They wore the skins of beasts and hunted men like prey. Each capture was an offering to the gods, a sacred duty to feed the sun. To the Aztecs, battle was prayer. Every strike, a ritual. Every life taken, a promise kept. They fought for divinity, not dominance. And in their fury, they honored creation itself. 4. The shinobi, shadows of Japan. While the samurai fought in daylight, the shinobi ruled the night. Masters of stealth, deception, and silent death. They turned invisibility into power. No armor, no code, only precision. They were ghosts wrapped in mortal skin, unseen, unstoppable. The shadow to every empire's light. 3. The gladiators, Rome's living weapons. They weren't born warriors. They were made. Through blood, sand, and suffering, they learned every form of combat known to Rome. They fought for freedom, for fame, for survival. And in their defiance, they became icons, turning death into spectacle. When the crowd cheered their names, they were no longer slaves. They were gods, for as long as the fight lasted. 2. The Gurkhas, the blades of the Himalayas. Small in stature, colossal in courage. Armed with their curved kukri blades, Gurkhas charged into fire without hesitation. In every war they fought, from the hills of Asia to the trenches of Europe, their enemies learned one thing. You may outnumber a Gurkha, but you will never outfight one. 1. The Spartan, 300, the standard of perfection. Because even in defeat, they defined strength. At Thermopylae, 300 men held back an empire, not with numbers, but with will. They fought knowing death was certain, but to them, death was not the end. It was proof that discipline is nothing without heart, and heart is what makes a warrior immortal. Across every age, the art of war revealed the same truth. A true warrior isn't made by weapon or armor, but by what they're willing to fight for. So tell me, if you stood on that battlefield, which warrior would you have fought beside?